Hello and welcome to the third part of the simple character controller tutorial. In this tutorial we'll be doing quite a couple of things, but we will be starting with adding a running functionality to the controller. So, in order to add a run to the controller, we need to have a speed for it. So first off, we're going to start making a variable for it. We're going to call it run speed or run multiplier, since we will be multiplying this on top of the speed that we already use. We're gonna just give it a default value of 2. Now, in order to do the run, we're gonna need to know if we're pressing the run key. And the way to do that is pretty simple. We just need to go input.getKey and then keycode.leftShift. Now, of course, you can change this for whichever key you feel like using, and just use that. Now we use getKey instead of getKey down because we wanna know if we're maintaining the press of the key in order to only run when we're actually holding the left shift. Now, in order to just multiply, we need to do this. If we're running, so if we're pressing the run key, we just multiply the move direction by the run multiplier. And now, this way, we will actually have a run setup. Let's see here. Let's check. 2, it's fine. Let me just quickly set this to 0.1. And let's press play. And let's see if it works. Well, maybe 0.1 was a little too low. Oops. Not. Maybe 1 was a little too low too. Let's go 0.2. Alright, so 0.2 moves us like this, and then we press the run key, and it goes faster. If we put it at 5, and we press run, it starts going faster. Alright, so that works. Now, next thing we're actually going to do for our controller is we're going to add gravity, and we're only going to allow the player to move when the capsule is actually touching the ground. So the way to do this is adding a force to the y-axis that always moves the controller down. That will be our gravity. So let's do that. First off, we're going to need a gravity value. So we're going to make a variable for that. Gravity. And let's just say it's 5, for example. And in here, we're just gonna add to the y-axis. We're gonna subtract to the y-axis the gravity multiplied by the fixed delta time. Now we do this in order for the gravity to be smoother. That's the only thing we're doing. Oh, and we actually don't need this here. Now let's check it. Let's see if it works. Oh. Alright, gravity 5. Let's see if it works. Alright, and now it actually pushes us down. Now, our next problem is that when we are actually in the air, we can still move, as you can see here, which is not a behavior we actually want. So the way to fix this is we need to check if we're actually on the ground before allowing these actions to happen. Now, the way to do that, there's a couple ways to do it, but I found that the most useful way is to use the collision flags that the move function gives you. And this is just a enumeration that tells you if the capsule here, the character controller, is hitting something and what direction it's hitting it from. So we're just going to get that real quick. Collision flags, move flags, and we're just going to get them from here. Move flags, And now we just use that to check. So if move flags is equal to collision flags dot below, so if the controller is hitting something below it, then we allow all this. Now gravity is going to happen all the time, so we don't necessarily need to do anything with that. Now we're having a bit of a problem now. The problem is we have this local variable, move direction, and we can't use it here if we have it inside. Now there's two ways to fix this. We can just initialize it here and then just give it a default value, or we can make it a variable, which is the one that I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is make a vector3, just call it move direction, and then instead of this this variable here, we're just going to use move direction everywhere like that, and like that. Alright, see if this works. Now we're only going to be able to move when we're grounded. We can move perfectly right now, there's no problem with that. We can still run. And now when we fall, we actually cannot move. That was a little fast, but let us slow it down a little. When we fall, we're not really going to be able to move at all. And just like that. Still a little fast, but let me just tweak it a little. You can play around with it, it's fine. See, like that, we can't move. Alright, so now next thing, we're just gonna clean the code a bit and comment it. This is not really needed, but it's good to do. So we're just gonna comment that as flags here. If we are grounded. Now these should be vars because it's already pretty clear what value we have to the right of it. And I'd like to clean this up a bit, and we're just gonna clean it up this way. Right vector is horizontal times transform dot right. Forward vector is vertical times transform dot forward. Now this is just separating this to make it more clear. We're just gonna do this real quick. And now another thing we can do to clean, and this is something Unity does in their controllers as well, is we're just gonna make a function here called get speed. And this function is gonna return the speed that we're gonna multiply here. And this allows us to actually have all our checks that like running and whatever else we might have, and just have them all in a function. So what we're going to do is just drag this run key here, and we're going to make a float, well, speed. We're going to start with the basic speed and return it. And now this is called a smart if. If you don't know what it is, you can just look it up on the YouTube videos. And what we do is just if we're running, well, multiply the speed. If we're pressing the run key, we'll multiply the speed by the run multiplier, and if not, we don't. We just multiply it by 1, so it doesn't change. This way is just a cleaner way to do this and have everything in here. And let's see if it still works. There shouldn't be any problem with it. Yes, everything still works, no problem. Alright, so this is it for this tutorial. If you can, please do subscribe and give it a like. And please comment if you want any specific features. And I'll see you in the next one.